first?
Hold on.
Yes. Okay. We have our first player of the spring here visiting today, linebacker Reid Carrico. You guys good back there?
Good.
Okay. Greg Hunter?
So Reid, congratulations on being the first, I guess. I don't know if that's a big honor or, the other side. So anyways, change of defense, scheme-wise, how different is this from what you were doing last year?
I think that just speaking from, I've played in like 4 or 5 different schemes since I've been in college now. It's kind of crazy to think about, but they all kind of have their similarities and their differences. But I mean, as far as like cover 3 or cover 4 goes, there's only so many different ways you could do it. So the main thing is just learning the new terminology and going from there. I mean, every coach has their own way of doing and saying things and categorizing things. So that's probably been like the biggest adjustment.
Is that confusing? Because as you said, 2 years ago you're learning Ohio State stuff. Last year you were learning what West Virginia was doing. Now the new West Virginia stuff. Does it get boggled sometimes for you?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, but I think that eventually, get into a new scheme. I think normally it usually takes, like, for me personally, about a month or 2, and then I kind of start, kind of dialing into like what the current staff calls things, and that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, sometimes it does get kind of bogged together, but it's kind of crazy. It's like there's a whole language in football that's just universal, but there's like a million different little hints of different stuff in there. But yeah.
Ohio State transfers over the past decade have a tendency to succeed at new programs. You look at Joe Burrow, who's also from southeastern Ohio originally. What do you feel like being in that locker room at Ohio State did to prepare you for being on the field in the role that you were last year at WVU and, for the rest of your collegiate career?
Yeah, no, it was so first off, like, obviously highly competitive. Everybody that goes there has anybody that goes into any Power 4 school has the the goal and dream of going to the NFL. And when I was there, I was behind guys that have been starting for 3 years. So you see guys that have been out there playing and doing it, and you try and follow them as much as you can. And for me, I had a player there at Ohio State. His name is Tommy Eichenberg. He's with the Raiders now, playing linebacker. He was kind of my older brother, and I just basically tried to follow everything that he did because he was a high-effort guy, he's always studying, always trying to find an edge and that sort of thing. So as far as that stuff goes, I think that a lot of the off-the-field stuff is what I took from there, yeah.
When you came here last year, obviously you were an experienced player and had some leadership last year, but do you even feel more of a sense of responsibility, and how have you changed how you even try to approach the players, things like that? Because you've been through learning a new system for years, like what Greg was talking about. I'm sure you could even now see players that maybe are struggling to learn something and more suited to help them out than even last year, because you have been around, but it's like nothing new for you to learn new terminology.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that I assumed some more responsibility because, I mean, this is year 5 for me, all these new freshmen and stuff, new freshmen and new transfers here to West Virginia and that sort of thing. They all know that I've been playing college football for a while. So, but yeah, I would say that there's certain things that you can kind of pick up. You can tell when a guy is kind of getting lost, by all the information that's coming in, because usually when people start or stop, when they stop asking questions and talking about things in the meetings and that sort of thing, that's usually when it's kind of getting to be a little bit much. And as an older guy, anytime that you can help make things more simple or approachable to younger players, that's always good, because it took me a while to get over that hump. Everybody goes through that. So
you come from Ohio State to here. They have the year they had last year.
Yeah.
Was that hard on you to watch what happened there, or was it joy, number one? Then you come here, you got a new coach, a new thing. he leaves. You got to start all over again. What has it been like?
I mean, I wouldn't say that it was hard on me, no, because even though that I had a ton of friends there, and it was only 2 hours down the road from my actual hometown. I mean, it's kind of, I'd say it is a little bit weird just from the perspective of putting in 3 years there, and then the year that you leave, they win the national championship. But at the same time, like, I got so many friends that are there and that sort of thing, and to see them actually go and do it, even though I wasn't there, like, that was still awesome to see. So super happy for those guys. But now, like, year 5, most of my friends are all gone now. But no, it was good. It wasn't that crazy. Not that hard.
The new scheme and the new terminology and stuff, like that's one thing, but you're also looking at a new philosophy, a new culture, and just a new dynamic with the new coach. How's that been for you? You know, just kind of being here from the transition of one coach to another one, a pretty intense guy at that.
Yeah. I'd say that, like, it's kind of the same deal. Like they both, coaches all have similarities, like everybody when they teach the core values of the team, like there's always some overlap in between those, and then like this coach might spend more time on this certain thing, this coach might spend more time on this certain thing, but I mean, it's been a little bit of an adjustment, because Coach Rod runs practice a little bit more up tempo, that sort of thing, but I wouldn't really say, like, I'm an older player, like it's 3 head coaches now in college, so it's just kind of like you kind of come to expect, like, high effort is the guys that are going to play, guys that study the most, that sort of thing. So for me personally, it hasn't been that much of an adjustment.
With your personal experience, you've worked with different head coaches over the years. How much did that make you kind of say within this transition, okay, I've done this, some of these other guys haven't. I'm going to mentor some of, like, the younger players, some of the less experienced players. Like, hey, here's how this works. Like, just like taking that kind of type of leadership on your shoulders over this transition.
Yeah, no, I'd say that as an older player, some like younger players, they kind of, a coach will get onto them a little bit, and they might not have been coached that hard before, like as, like a high school player or even like a previous school might not have been coached that hard. So me as a leader and an older guy, I've tried to when I see that happen and they kind of get down on themselves or kind of get mad at the world or whatever, just tell them to take a breath, man. Like, tomorrow's another day, like, or the next rep is another rep. Like, if you sit around and feel sorry for yourself or think too much about the last play or the last yesterday or whatever, you're kind of going to get left behind. So just trying to get everybody to sign have like the blinders, so to speak. But yeah, I try and do what you can, but it's tough, because there's so many, being a leader, there's so many different personalities that you have to learn how to communicate with, and that's probably the biggest hurdle, I would say.
So much conversation on your progression in your career. I mean, when you have a coaching change, obviously a lot of guys look to go elsewhere. Did you have any thoughts of, well, if they're going to have a whole new transition, a whole new culture, no coach, maybe I'll cap off the career elsewhere? And what was that process like?
You mean for me personally, whether
Yeah.
I was going to leave? I wasn't going to leave. I knew I wasn't going to leave, but I mean, I could see like how other players, like other guys that decided to leave here, like they put in multiple years with the old staff, and like I can understand how they would be like, I'm just going to go get a fresh start somewhere else. I mean, I can understand that, but for me, like I already went through the portal once, that whole process, and it was a mess. So I was like, I'm not doing that again. I'm happy here, like I love it here, so I'm staying right here. but yeah.
We talked to the coaches about the portal all the time. From a player's perspective, you've been through the portal. You said it's a mess. What is that like for the player to experience that and go through that?
Okay. Well, first off, like, you might have a coach call you one day and be like, hey, we're really interested. We're looking for this type of player, this guy that can fit into our scheme. And you're like, oh, yeah, okay. So I've heard from this school, like, I'm going to need to set up a visit. Like, and then, you try and or they might say like, let's set up a visit, get you down on campus. And I'm just like, okay, and try and set it up, and then they ghost you, and like you don't really talk anymore. And then it might be the same way, like a school contacts you that you're really not that interested in. You kind of have to. It's just, I've heard a lot of coaches go with the idea of like speed dating. I mean, it really is. It's like there's, especially because as far as going to see schools and like prove that you're interested in them, like it's such a short window. Like for me, I was in the portal like through the December period there, like through the bowl season in 2023. Like I was at 6 different schools in like 7 days. Like it was bizarre. Like I was bouncing around all over the place just from the perspective of like I want to, go see it for myself and hear what they got to say rather than talking over the phone. So
I can see why you only wanted to do that once.
yeah, no, I was good on that. But yeah.
Can you talk to us a little bit about what it's like to play under Coach Alley?
Yeah. So playing with Coach Alley, he's a younger coach, and I've always had older coaches since I've been in college. So having a younger coach, it's kind of it's kind of unique in the way that he knows how to communicate with us a little bit better, I would say, just because he's only like, I think he's only like 31 or 30 or something like that. Anytime that you can have a guy that's more like approachable or easier to communicate with, like that's obviously like worth its weight in gold, I would say. Anytime there's like communication barriers within defense or a football team in general, like it's kind of, that can be an Achilles heel that doesn't come up until it comes up, you know what I mean? So, but playing for Coach Alley, like it's been fun. A lot of learning, big learning curve there, as far as adjusting to his scheme and that sort of thing. But overall, so far, it's been a really good experience.
Your thoughts of the guys around you, the defensive players? So, a few guys coming back, but a lot of new people. Give me your analysis.
You mean on the guys that are coming back?
No,
or?
both. A little both.
Okay. Yeah, no, we got, Coach Rod brought some defensive guys with him from Jacksonville, and most of those guys have played under Coach Alley there when he was DC. And, you can kind of tell that they've had more experience, obviously, in the scheme. They're making some plays, doing good things. And, then you got players that are here. Like mostly, we had most of our roster turnover on defense, I think, was on the D-line mostly. So, you've seen guys like Eddie V, Asani Redwood, Nate Gabriel, Hammond, all those guys. They're adjusting well. And, like, it's just been – we got plenty of talent here to win and be really good on defense. And I think that every day there's one guy that really sticks out, and then the next it might be a completely new guy, So I think that we have some better depth, more like better numbers, which I think Coach Rod said that he's still got to bring some players in because of the 105 rule or whatever, but that's on him. I don't really know much about that.
How advantageous is having some Jacksonville State guys, playing, because do they help the guys who aren't as well versed in the scheme learn the scheme quicker, because you can almost look to them as, I don't want to say a translator, but someone who can just say, hey, it's more of a muscle memory to them.
Yeah, no, I would say that, having the guys from Jacksonville and, having them around for the installs and like when new things go into the defense, that's been great, just because like learning the terminology, like what's this mean? And all you gotta do is like shoot them a text, hey, this means this, So from that standpoint, it's been awesome having those guys, and they're all good dudes. Like I'd do anything for any of them, and then I'll see it on the other foot, like practice, workouts, team workouts, that sort of thing. Like as an older guy, like I always want to be ahead of the curve. Like I want to know what to do so that I don't mess up, and get in trouble or whatever. But yeah, having them and describing like what Coach Rod's looking for in all of his workouts, all of his team oriented stuff, like that's been great.
So you're from the Ironton area originally.
I am.
And you played at Ohio State, which is in Ohio. It's up in Columbus, but Columbus is a little bit less Appalachian and the southeastern area.
100%.
So can you talk a little bit, do you feel like the culture regionally and just like the idea of feeling at home was a little bit of a better fit at West Virginia than it was at Ohio State, despite that being an in-state school?
Oh, 100%. I mean, even when I was living in Columbus, I remember like when I first got there, everybody was like, I thought, you're from Ohio? Like, you got a accent on you. Like, where are you from in Ohio? And I'm just like, well, I'm from Ohio on paper, but I'd probably, related a little bit more to Kentucky or West Virginia. And then they're like, oh, okay, kind of like Cincinnati. Like Cincinnati people kind of get thrown into the Kentucky ballpark there. But no, as far as like culture and that sort of thing goes, like I definitely have gotten along like more comfortable here with the people in West Virginia and that sort of thing. Like my dad was born in West Virginia. My grandma was born in West Virginia. Like I got family roots here. And, from that perspective, like, it's been awesome. And, like, actually, like, just to kind of give you a example, like, my grandma was born in Williamson, West Virginia in a coal mine camp. So it's, the roots were always there. It just kind of took me a while to figure them out,
We're out of time. You have one question, Mike?
Yeah, this is kind of out of left field, Reid, sorry, but Rich was talking earlier about with the roster constraints, it might not be unusual to see guys be asked to play different positions.
Yeah.
How quickly could you transition back to running back or playing on the offense?
Oh, man. Back to running back? I don't know. Maybe in a goal line situation or something, they're going to give me the ball straight downhill. Maybe. I don't know. But it's been a while since I've been on the offensive side of the ball. But, I mean, I would, if it really came down to that, then I would study and learn it just like anything else. But it's never been asked that since I've been in college. Actually, that's a good question. I'd say, like when you're in college and I've only played one side of the ball, it's sort of like a cult deal, like you kind of become a defensive guy after a couple of years. Like it's year 5 for me. Like I'm 100% a defensive guy. So being asked that question is just kind of like, whoa, I don't know if I could play offense or not, but I'm sure I could get something done along the way.
Kind of leads me to this, like just to draw on your veteran experience, what's coming is very different.
Yeah.
Do you think players have to think differently about having like a second skill set to showcase if they're close to like 102, 103, 106, 107, create a way to make them more valuable and more indispensable?
Yeah, 100%. So just for the simplest thing to do for any player, I think at this point in the year is like, we're working through punt and punt block and that sort of thing. Like you got to try and win jobs now, like especially if you're like a younger player that hasn't got to play much and that sort of thing. But just like you said, you got to find ways to make yourself valuable. Like, what can this guy do? Like, the guys that can do the most are obviously going to be kept. So the guys that can play on punt, the guys that can run down on kickoff, KOR, you name it. I would advise anybody to do that, as far as learning new jobs and new skill sets and that sort of thing. Whatever you can do to make yourself the most valuable player to a team, that's what you should do.